Guys, this morning we continue our conversation, and I have the privilege of sitting and chatting virtually, that is, with the Senator, the Honourable Anil Roberts, Minister in the Ministry of Housing. Good morning and welcome to Tobago Updates.
Good morning, and sorry for still being in the car, but I was dropping my daughter to school and there was a tremendous amount of traffic. So you'll be stuck with me on bumpy roads until we can have the opportunity to smooth them out. But good morning, but you put a smile on my face early. Good morning, Tobago. It's very interesting just to listen to your 90-second news that a PNM member, a member of the PNM, that has been in government since 1956, that has caused Tobago to be disrespected, that has enabled Tobago situation to remain one of dictatorship by the central government, would have the audacity to criticize the Honourable Chief Secretary, who is on the verge of bringing greater autonomy to Tobago, that a member of the People's National Movement that swears and pledges allegiance to their party over the island, over the country, would criticize the TPP on autonomy for Tobago. I nearly choked on my doubles and coffee. I had to laugh because the PNM has oppressed Tobago since inception. And so any movement towards autonomy between the new T.H.A, the Chief Secretary, and now the two members of Parliament working and negotiating a system of harmony, respect, and love to bring Tobago what it deserves to chart its own course has to be applauded by all Tobagonians. The Chief Secretary is doing a great job. And now we have a Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who respects and loves Tobago and wants Tobago to handle its affairs. So they will move ahead as two leaders of our island, in our two islands in our one nation. And PNM, unfortunately, you will be thrown in the dustbin of politics for an inordinate amount of time.
Right, and even as it pertains to those connections and relationships and collaboration, you are now at the Ministry of Housing. Are there any plans or strategies in place to work closely with the Tobago House of Assembly to ensure that Tobago has a greater allocation as it pertains to housing in Tobago?
Absolutely, and already what the secretaries and so on from the T.H.A have contacted the Honourable Minister David Lee, Mr. Ian Pollard, and so on. And we will be to hear what Tobago requires. There's a midterm review coming for budget allocations. Tobago and Trinidad will sit side by side. So we will collaborate, we will listen, and we will fight for Tobago just like we fight for the rest of our nation. So this is a time of great hope and great understanding and respect. So a meeting will be set up shortly between Minister Lee. I hope that I'm included in that meeting to hear the plans that the T.H.A has for Tobago so that any extra allocation that is necessary can be fought for within the parameters of the current budgetary situation.
Understood. And even on a national level, as it pertains to the Ministry of Housing, what are some of the areas that need, immediate attention as it pertains to some of the key issues that has been faced in the area of housing in Trinidad?
In Trinidad, as is in Tobago, under the last 9.5 years, the Ministry of Housing has absolutely failed. They have not been living up to their mandate, their vision, their mission, their objectives. In the last 4.5 years, a paltry 4,079 houses were constructed. Some of low quality, some that are not fit for purpose. The HDC and the Housing Ministry was a complete failure under the PNM, even though billions of dollars were spent. So we are in the process of gathering all the information, the systems that they put in place, making subsidiaries and so on, is being analyzed by the Honourable Minister David Lee, and we will ensure as the UNC government to live up to the mandate dictated to us and instructed to us by the Honourable Minister to houses. The UNC is about housing for people. In 2015, there were 150,000 applications for housing in Trinidad and Tobago. And right now, there are 195,000 applications. People are desperate for housing. The PNM went away from the original mission of the Ministry of Housing to build exorbitant high-rise luxury housing for people who are rich, while the objective of Kamla Prasad Bisesa is to serve those most in need. So the housing authority will return to building high housing
Guys,
to put a roof over the heads of these. The housing ministry.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break right here as we try to get a better connection with the Honourable Minister Anil Roberts. Guys, we take a quick break here. See you soon. Welcome back. We were having a bit of an issue. I hope that the minister is on and he can hear me properly. Welcome back.
I am hearing you perfectly. I humbly apologize if you were not as you know, we're in the city center, Port of Spain, and yet our national mobile service provider has a weak service in the heart of Port of Spain. That alone shows you the incompetence of the PNM. But don't worry, Kamla is the Prime Minister now, the Honourable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and we shall fix that. The Minister of Public Utilities shall address that issue. So are you hearing me now a little bit better?
Yes, I'm hearing you a lot better. Now, at the beginning of the tender of this government, which was just a few short weeks ago, we heard the Prime Minister saying on swearing in that the Dragon gas deal is dead. Is that still something that your administration is saying? That deal is dead, or are there some revisiting going on there and seeing if it is actually a lucrative stream for Trinidad and Tobago as it pertains to revenue generation?
Okay, let's be very clear. The Dragon gas field is a field that cross-border gas between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago. That gas is there. God put that gas there. The issue is geopolitics, it's democracy, it's oppression, it's dictatorship, it's stealing of elections, it's narco-terrorists, it's narco-trafficking, it's drug money and drug laundering. It's the issue of the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime with Delcy Rodriguez that has stolen an election on July 28th last year that is not recognized by our major trading partners, the United States of America, Canada, the European Union, and of South America. The issue is not any gas or any deal or any pipeline or any value chain or any negotiation. The problem is the Maduro regime. Kamla Prasad Bisesa stands on the side of the United States, Canada, European Union, the side of the Organization of American States against dictatorship, tyranny, oppression, and stealing of elections. Kamla Prasad Bisesa stands for democracy. So when democracy returns to Venezuela, when the legitimate regime who was duly elected, Urrutia Gonzalez, is sworn in as president, then the dragon can dance. Anything can dance. Negotiations can begin. But you cannot do deals with an oppressive dictator who thwarts democracy. 8 million citizens have run away from Venezuela. So the issue is not anything other than geopolitics, democracy, and probable negotiations. So when democracy returns to Venezuela, all negotiations, all help, all facets will be on. The deal that Keith Rowley and Stuart Young did, secret NDAs with a narco-trafficking terrorist, that is dead. The secret deals and quiet deals that were made The corrupt deals and corrupt negotiations that took place in Venezuela without public servants, that is dead. Corruption is dead. Dragon gas is there. And when there is democracy, the two democratic governments of Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela will negotiate openly, properly, with public servants, with intelligence to bring the best deal for the people of Trinidad and Tobago and the people of Venezuela.
Right, and even as it pertains to Shell's involvement with this and other companies that have been a part of this deal, are you concerned about how that would affect the relationship between these companies and Trinidad and Tobago moving forward?
I have no problem. All of these companies, some with checkered past, would have to answer and explain their actions. The Minister of Energy, the Honourable Rudal Munilal, is not only intelligent, strong, brilliant, and a man who is good with negotiation. He understands his portfolio and he will take guidance from the cabinet and the Prime Minister and all international companies working in Trinidad and Tobago will respect the government of Trinidad and Tobago because the government of Trinidad and Tobago holds and manages the resources of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We are sovereign, we are strong, we know what we are about, and this government will negotiate for the best deal for our people to provide services. We will not go into a secret room in Houston like Stuart Young did in 2017, throw out all the public servants who were brilliant and experienced in negotiation and charge and change a negotiation that caused NGC to move from $2 billion US profit down to making a loss. That is the PNM way. That is the way of separation and oppression. Kamala is about transparency, accountability, open negotiation, merit, and intelligence. And all these gas companies will learn that there is a new prime minister in town, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago will get what they deserve. No secret NDAs, no secret deals, no backroom deals that give the upstreamers 69% profit while the country gets losses.
Understood. And so we're going to take a quick break right here and we'll be back as we continue our conversation. See you soon. Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago. I have been chatting with the Honourable Minister of Housing, Anil. Good morning and welcome back. Now, as it pertains to the continuation of initiatives and programs and projects that are to the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago, we saw very recently where the Minister of Agriculture has continued that rice initiative in partnership with Guyana. How important is it to continue those partnership and projects that are to the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago for this new administration?
Well, absolutely. Any policy or any program that is beneficial, that is value for money, that brings about good synergies and development for Trinidad and Tobago will be continued. Unfortunately, when you come from a PNM government of 9.5 years, there are not many of those. There are very few. So some rice, hopefully some yam, but that's about it. Everything else that the PNM touch has crumbled. The country, from the economy, come down. It is in a total state of chaos. Here at the Ministry of Housing, billions has been spent. No allocations have been done. In 4.5 years, only 4,000 houses. When Jerlene John, Honourable Jerlene John, who's Minister of Works and Infrastructure now, was in housing with Dr. Rudal Munilal back in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. They were building between 4,000 and 6,000 houses per year, giving out 100 houses per week. The PNM, over 10 years, have only built 4,970 houses. So the applications have gone up in the thousands. People are suffering. And therefore, the value of land and houses is out of the reach of many normal citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. This we see across the board in all the ministries. The ministries of sport and culture have collapsed. International Soca Monarch Carnival not generating money, no sports tourism. Even The synergy between Tobago and Trinidad has been oppressive because the PNM Balize House philosophy usurped and took control over national pride and moving things forward. So if
Right.
there are any policies that are good that have been implemented, they shall be continued. But right now we are on ground zero. We have to rebuild this country because it is in absolute chaos.
Right, and even as you talk about the continuation of projects, one of the projects that the UNC government would have brought on stream that was not continued was that DBUE campus. That was a $600 million project that is now being assessed to see what type of works and how much that would cost the current government to try to bring it up to a functional state. Give us a little bit of an insight on that entire, DBUE campus and its abandonment.
Well, you know, I love my people of Trinidad and Tobago, and I don't think I can add to anything other than the pictures and the videos that were shown of that $600 million beautiful, amazing campus that was there to service the children from Central and South Trinidad, from Couva straight down to La Brea, Point 14. Once citizens see that, you can see how heartless, how wicked, and how evil the PNM is to leave that campus to rot and to decay into the state that it is now, along with 48 other schools that were developed for our people, for our children, shows that PNM just simply doesn't care. Do you understand that that would have given opportunities for our children to excel, to live out their dreams? Go add that to the Couva Children's Hospital that was left there to rot, all of the greatest state of the art equipment that could have saved children's lives, mothers' lives who are having babies, left there by the PNM simply for ridiculous politics so that the UNC will not look good. So the Daybay campus epitomizes the vindictive, heartless nature of the PNM. After that Daybay campus, the next campus that would have been built by Kamla Prasad Bisesa would have been one for Tobago, so that Tobagonian students do not have to travel to Trinidad, stay, rent apartments, miss out on their family life in order to get an education. A UE campus was due to be built in Tobago, but the PNM did nothing. And to hear Kelvin Morris talk about Tobago autonomy, it makes me feel sick to my stomach. These people have no love and no honesty. So Kamala is in charge now. Our children will get opportunities across the board. All children from Tobago straight down to Point 14, across the Matlot and down to Chagaramas. All citizens will be treated with love and respect. That UE Daybay campus will be completed, and our children can stay, can study, and can take advantage of their resources.
Right. And I'm not sure of your ability to give me a straight answer on this one, but how soon can we see some of those state boards being constituted? Because we have a situation where with NIDCO, which is the National Entrepreneurship Development Company, they have halted on taking applications for persons who are applying for business grants and business loans because they are unaware of whether or not this administration would continue with that program. So can you tell us a bit about that? When can we see these things being a bit more stable?
Well, they are stable now. They are unstopped. The people have rejected the policies of the board members of the PNM were implementing oppressive austerity measures, were removing the resources from the people. They were following the philosophy of the new society of Keith Rowley, which was, as he stated, wean yourself off the government. The new society of the PNM meant that the state resources, the taxpayers' resources, were to be used by the rich to get richer, for the recusals of ministers, for rental of their buildings. So all is on pause now. The Honourable Kamla Prasad Bisesa is collecting and collating information on people who want to serve Trinidad and Tobago on boards. She's vetting, and all these boards will be appointed. Kamla Prasad Bisesa believes in corporate governance, so she's not going to put her friend or her family or her golfing buddy on 7 boards like Newman George was, or Michael Kwamina, his personal lawyer, on 5 boards, or Ingrid Lashley, Ainis Gate neighbor of Rowley, on 9 boards. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is not of that. She will put chairman and people on boards who can function adequately, brilliantly, and amazingly based on their qualification to provide service to Trinidad and Tobago. So it may take a little time, but once we get rolling, we'll be rolling efficiently, properly, and to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago, not to serve the rich, not to serve the financiers, not to serve ministers making $150 million in 9.5 years like Faris Al-Rawi. So the boards will be appointed by the cabinet and the prime minister to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Halting those applications for business grants, is that something that we could see being reinstated very soon?
Business grants are good, but the policy will be better. When you see some of those grants that were given, they weren't given to the entire population. Some things were given out in secret. Here at the Housing Development Corporation, people inside were doing what they want. The information will come out just now. Friends and family were getting houses. They were not serving the population. So yes, boards will be placed would be put in place to run policies and programs that every citizen has an opportunity to benefit from. Not just those who go down Balize House, not just those who have a PNM card, not just those who know a PNM MP or a PNM minister. They were running it like it's a small parlor or an old boys and girls club. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is the Prime Minister of all of Trinidad and Tobago, and all of Trinidad and Tobago will have the opportunity to take advantage of, as you say, those grants, other grants, loans, policies, all of that, the children's laptops, so all the children, not those who know a minister or could call a minister or WhatsApp a minister. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is about fairness and equity.
Right. And tomorrow is the big day for many. Tomorrow we have, that first parliamentary sitting of this new administration. Are there anything that we should be looking forward to, or hat tricks that we might be seeing happening there tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow is a day the parliament called, but every day is a big day. Once God allows us to wake up and see the sun, you are more blessed than I am right now. Right now, I in South Key, I just passed about 3 lumps of garbage that the Port of Spain Corporation need to pick up. You are in beautiful Tobago. You are blessed every day of life to live in Tobago, to see and to believe and to be in a community. So tomorrow is parliamentary opening. There'll be a lot of pomp and ceremony. Anil, not too much into that, but I will put on a good suit and look good.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you and seeing your suit of choice. I don't know if you decide to do the yellow again tomorrow, but we look forward to seeing that and seeing who is appointed as president and vice president of the Senate. These are all things that persons are looking forward to, who the Speaker of the House would be. So, even as it pertains to hat tricks, they were wondering if we would see some familiar faces or we might be shocked and surprised, right? Even as it pertains to Tobago's greater involvement in national policy and national decision-making. We've heard promises from both the Chief Secretary and the Prime Minister that greater collaboration would take place moving forward. And even as you hinted to the fact that we are in the process of constituting those state boards, previously we saw a situation where PNM-led central government administration would have put persons in place on some of these boards to represent Tobago that did not necessarily represent the Tobago House of Assembly or being recommended by the Chief Secretary. Moving forward, can we see a situation where there's greater collaboration as it pertains to the Tobago representatives that sit on some of these key boards, specifically boards like the Airport Authority, Caribbean Airline, the Ports Authority?
Well, you have said it better than I can. Kamala Prasad Bisesa has done it before. That is who she is. She's not fake. She loves and respects Tobago. She will listen to the elected representatives of Tobago, which is the Chief Secretary and the Tobago House of Assembly. And she will be guided as she has always been guided, with humility, respect, love, and care. So, yes, you will see the T.H.A represented on boards that impact Tobago. That is Kamala Prasad Bisesa's policy, and she will treat the Chief Secretary and the T.H.A with equity, love, respect, care, and negotiate with a good heart, in good faith, not about Balize House going up in the sky and no one can account for $140 million of where it came from. So you are correct. And we can look forward to great collaboration, great positivity, hope, and moving forward Trinidad and Tobago together, because Tobago may have to take care of Trinidad. Tobago is a gem that can diversify this economy and create jobs for all of us. So we will work together. That is Kamala. Kamala cares. Kamala respects. And Tobago shall be respected.
Right. And, I know you are not the Minister for Works and those areas, but one of the areas that Tobagonians are looking forward to seeing change in quick order is with that Caribbean Airlines air bridge situation. Now, pre-COVID, we had a last flight that went up to midnight and sometimes a bit after midnight. And then we saw a situation post-COVID where the last flight is somewhere around 9:30. Now, there has been the argument that it's not profitable, the domestic route between Trinidad and Tobago, but it is also necessary for persons to have that free ability to traverse both islands. Now, is that a part of the conversations that are happening as it pertains to, increasing the relationship and the connectivity between the two islands?
You may be a little bit too young to remember, but when Kamala Prasad Bisesa was Prime Minister, 2010 to 2015, you would realize that there were flights to Tobago 22 hours per day. That the airport in Tobago was hardly ever closed. People could not get sleep. Workers had to work, because that is Kamala Prasad Bisesa's philosophy, that the islands must be connected. It's the PNM who came and cut down flights. So when you say flights before COVID were up to midnight, they had eliminated 3 hours of flights. So if you had 2 hours, one flight per hour, that was 3 extra flights. So Kamala Prasad Bisesa believes in that, and it must have total connectivity. It was the PNM that shut down the sea bridge in 2016, 2017, collapsed the sea bridge and had Tobagonians' goods going on a barge and collecting seawater on the car and on the banana and in the cement. So Kamala Prasad Bisesa has done it before. She will do it again, because it is not only just and right, it is economically, and it is to ensure the economic viability of Tobago and Trinidad. So that will be on the agenda. That is a must. The sea bridge must remain flawless. The air bridge and the connectivity must be there. When Kamala Prasad Bisesa was there, over 97,000 international arrivals were coming to Tobago annually. That dropped before COVID under the PNM down to 28,000. During COVID, well, it dropped to zero, and now it's back up to about 40,000, 45,000. So we aim to go above that 100,000. Kamala Prasad Bisesa wants to negotiate and collaborate with the T.H.A to bring more international flights, to market the beauty of Tobago, so that more people can come, spend money, and create jobs in Tobago.
Excellent. And, going back a bit to some of the work that you are doing at the Ministry of Housing and trying to transform that industry, how important is it to have that, public-private partnership as it pertains to building more affordable homes in Trinidad and Tobago? Because we have a situation where private contractors, obviously, they are in the business of profit, but there is a huge gap where availability of houses and the supply and the demand for houses. So how do you plan to, strategize and work with your team to encourage more private contractors to want to actually build affordable homes?
Well, the Honourable Minister David Lee, his heart and soul, that's why he's heading the ministry. He wants families to be in houses. So any which way that we could mash gas efficiently, get value for money, high quality housing, whether it's public sector, private sector collaboration, private sector linking, whatever can increase the housing stock quickly, efficiently, value for money, high quality housing, putting families in homes. That is the mission and vision of the Honourable David Lee, Minister of Housing.
And you also have another minister in the Ministry of Housing added, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander. How is that situation, having three ministers there? How is the collaboration? How has the relationship been with you, with him being included there?
Well, we are collaborators. We are respectful of each other, and we could use 5 ministers here because in 10 years, the PNM has not built houses. Every day, I get about 100 WhatsApp messages with reference numbers. I do not know where I'm going to store them. How are we going to deal with them? So we have 3 ministers here, all with tasks, with duties to provide housing, to repair housing, to ensure that the housing estates that exist are built and maintained to a level that is worthy of our citizens. So we are working smoothly. I played football for Fatima and under 19 national. I swam for Trinidad and Tobago from 1978 to 1987. I'm an Olympic coach. So teamwork is my forte. We have a great team here at the Ministry of Housing, led by the Honourable Minister David Lee, and we'll work together to make Trinidad and Tobago proud of us, to provide families with smiles on their faces as we provide housing that is affordable and high quality.
Excellent. But we're going to take a quick break right here for the final time, and we come back and we wrap up. So see you soon. Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I've been having the privilege of chatting with the Honourable Minister in the Ministry of Housing, Senator Anil Roberts. Good morning and welcome back. Now, even as it pertains to your work and trying to innovate and do things better in the Ministry of Housing, there are countries, specifically first world countries, that understanding, the limiting housing capacity have implemented a number of strategies to assist its citizens. One of those things we see in the Netherlands, there is the Housing Assistance Grant. So although the government may not be able to provide housing for all, they subsidize rental costs by giving grants to persons who have a low income. They would set the income threshold, obviously. But are ideas like these some that your government or even you are willing to embrace and look at as possible avenues? We know we can't provide houses for everyone. It's basically impossible, especially when you talk about the number of persons that are on that list. But if persons are able to have their rents subsidized, that might be able to assist some persons low income households?
Well, let me answer it this way for you. Kamla Prasad Bisesa cares. Kamla Prasad Bisesa came out of poverty. Kamla Prasad Bisesa knows what it is to have no roof over her head. Kamla Prasad Bisesa knows what it is to only have one uniform to go to school. So Kamla Prasad Bisesa will undertake through all ministries every aspect that will ensure that the value of money or the value of salaries can be stretched, so that more people could have housing in any form of fashion, whether it is from rental subsidies, as you say, that is a policy that could work and will be looked at. Every policy, increasing jobs, reducing inflation, ensuring the purchasing power parity of our dollar increases, making sure that infrastructure is there, that taxes are lower. Remember, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, in her first iteration as Prime Minister, brought no new taxes. So she wants to provide value for money to enable citizens to survive, thrive, and live out their dreams. So this problem will be attacked from many avenues, many policies, many positions. But you can be sure that the people would benefit, because in Kamala's society, the taxpayers' dollars are used and redound to the benefit of the people, and not the financiers and not the ministers, not the elites. Kamala does not believe that the rich must get richer and then crumble or sprinkle crumbs on the rest. Kamala believes that you could be in poverty and become a prime minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, as she has done.
Right. And, even in closing, is there anything you want to say to Tobagonians as it pertains to being optimistic about what is on the horizon with a new central government being in place?
Well, first of all, I want to tell Tobagonians I'm jealous of y'all. I wish I was in Tobago. Tobago is the greatest island on God's green earth. Tobago is peaceful, it's beautiful. The community, the people, the culture, the music, the food, the relaxation, the climate, the flora, the fauna. So every day that you wake up in Tobago, you are blessed. However, now you are doubly blessed, because there is a synergy between your T.H.A, your chief secretary, your government in Tobago, and the central government of Trinidad and Tobago under Kamala Prasad Bisesa. They care. Both of them care. The resources and the opportunities will abound for all of Trinidadians and all of Tobagonians. Yes, there is hope. There is hope in the color of my shirt, that it bleeds underneath and covers the red, white, and black of Trinidad and Tobago. Gone are the oppressive days. Gone are the arrogant days. Gone are the days of no merit. Gone are the Duncy days. And up comes the intelligence, brilliance, all brains on deck. Collaboration, respect, and love. Tobago will rise and Trinidad will rise together. God bless. Thank you for having me. It was a long time. I've been sitting in my car. Good thing it had diesel.
All right. Well, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning again, and we look forward to chatting with you again soon. And we here at Tobago Updates, we are always open to chatting and discussing whenever you have new projects that you want to release, specifically as it pertains to your partnerships with the Tobago House of Assembly. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Guys, we want to thank you so much for sticking with us this morning. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have done and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. And today we look forward to a fruitful debate at the Assembly Legislature as it pertains to the Tobago Autonomy Bill. We look forward to broadcasting live here on Tobago Update, so you can view that sitting today. We will be broadcasting it live here, and we look forward to hearing more about what this administration has planned and strategized as it pertains to bringing Tobago closer to that vision of autonomy. Guys, again, I am Shenell, Felix, and have a great day.